The 27th teaching, The Balance of Moderation, Confucius once said that, "Moderation is the key to happiness, but it is also one of the hardest things to achieve." Moderation means balance in every aspect of life, not living in harsh self-denial, and not falling into careless indulgence. To walk this path, a person must cultivate patience and the ability to control their own desires. It is not something given overnight, but rather a lifelong practice of self-awareness and discipline. There was once a monk named Daniel who lived in a small, humble temple surrounded by quiet mountains. Every day, Daniel worked, studied, and practiced his discipline in silence. He never chased after wealth, nor did he neglect the simple joys of life. Instead, he chose to live in the middle ground. He was neither too strict with himself nor too loose with his actions. People from far and near often came to seek his guidance. They admired the way Daniel remained calm no matter the situation, and how he radiated an air of peace and happiness. One day, a visitor asked him, "Master, how is it that you can always live in peace, with happiness shining from your face? What is your secret?" Daniel smiled gently and replied, "Moderation means not being too harsh with yourself, but also not indulging every desire. It is balance the harmony between thought, emotion, and action. To achieve this, one must train throughout a lifetime. There are no shortcuts. This wisdom carries a powerful lesson for us today. In modern society, we often find ourselves pulled in different directions. Ambition drives us to overwork, while endless temptations push us toward overindulgence. Some people sacrifice health for success. Others lose themselves in comfort and distractions. Both extremes lead to imbalance and, eventually, unhappiness. Moderation reminds us that true happiness does not lie in extremes, but in balance. To care for our work without neglecting our health. To pursue dreams without abandoning peace of mind. To enjoy life's pleasures without being enslaved by them. This is the art of living. Confucius was right. Moderation is not easy. Yet, if we strive for it, step by step, it can bring us lasting happiness. It is a lifelong journey, but one worth walking. The 28th teaching, happiness is not about possessing much, but about being content. Confucius once taught that happiness does not come from material possessions, but from a heart that knows contentment and gratitude. True joy is not measured by the amount of wealth we own, but by our ability to be thankful for what we already have. A person who lives with satisfaction, without constant comparison or endless desire, will find peace and a life of serenity. There was once a nobleman named Edward, a man of great wealth and power. He owned vast lands, countless servants, and treasures that most could only dream of. Yet Edward was never satisfied. Every new piece of land he acquired only made him crave more. Every possession he gained left him hungering for something greater. Despite his riches, his heart was restless and his mind was never at ease. One day, Edward encountered a poor villager who lived in a small, humble house. The man's clothes were simple, his meals plain, but his face was full of joy and ease. Edward, puzzled by the contrast, asked, "How can you be so happy living with so little? You have no wealth, no power, yet you seem more content than I." The villager smiled and replied, "I am happy because I am satisfied with what I have. I do not chase after what lies beyond my reach. Happiness is not about owning much, but about cherishing what is already mine. Gratitude makes my life rich, even if my possessions are few." Edward stood silent, reflecting on those words. In that moment, he realized a truth that his wealth had blinded him from. Happiness is not a prize that comes with more possessions, nor is it hidden in the endless race for success. It is found in the simple practice of gratitude, of looking at what we already hold and saying, "This is enough." In today's society, where consumerism and comparison dominate, this teaching is more relevant than ever. People chase after bigger houses, fancier cars, and endless recognition, yet many still feel empty. True happiness, as Confucius reminded us, does not depend on how much we have, but on how deeply we value it. Contentment and gratitude are treasures that can never be taken away. Teaching 29, Gratitude for Guidance, is the first step toward wisdom. Confucius once emphasized that gratitude, and respect toward those who guide us is the very first step on the path to wisdom. He reminded us that humility and thankfulness are not just virtues, but foundations that allow us to receive knowledge with an open heart. Through this openness, we not only develop intellect, but also cultivate character and inner strength. There was once a student named David. Whenever he faced difficulties in his studies, he rarely asked his teacher for help. Instead, he struggled alone, determined to find solutions by himself. At first, this seemed admirable, but over time, David found himself stuck with challenges that no amount of effort could overcome. His pride became a wall that kept him from learning what he needed most. One day, David encountered a problem far too difficult for him to solve. He tried again and again, but failed each time. His teacher, observing him silently, finally stepped forward and said gently, "David, do not hesitate to come to me when you need guidance. To be grateful to those who share their wisdom is one of the ways to open your mind and grow in understanding." Hearing these words, David realized how his stubbornness had limited him. From that day on, he began to approach his teacher with humility and gratitude. Each time he asked a question, he not only gained knowledge but also grew in maturity. He learned that wisdom was not simply about solving problems on his own, but about valuing the help, patience, and lessons of those who came before him. This story carries a timeless message for us today. In modern society, many people view asking for help as a sign of weakness, especially in competitive environments. But true strength lies in knowing when to seek guidance and showing gratitude to those who are willing to teach, whether it is a mentor, a colleague, a parent, or a friend. Expressing thankfulness builds bridges that allow us to grow faster and deeper. Gratitude transforms knowledge into wisdom. When we honor those who guide us, we not only enrich our minds but also nurture the humility that makes life more meaningful. Teaching 30. Do not only listen to words, but observe actions. Confucius once taught that words do not always reflect the true nature of a person. While promises and declarations may sound convincing, it is action that reveals a person's character. Actions are the living results of one's thoughts, values, and principles. To know the true worth of someone, we must look beyond what they say and watch what they do. There was once a man named Thomas who constantly claimed to be honest and fair. In conversations, he always described himself as a person of integrity, someone who stood by justice and truth. Many believed him because his words were strong and persuasive. But when difficult tasks arose, Thomas often tried to avoid responsibility. He would step back when things became challenging, leaving others to carry the burden he had promised to share. One day, his close friend Michael began to notice the gap between Thomas's words and his actions. Troubled by this, Michael decided to confront him. He said, "A true gentleman does not only speak the right words, he also lives by them. You say you are honest, but your actions do not show honesty. You claim fairness, yet you avoid responsibility. Can words alone define who you are?" Thomas was shaken by these words. At first, he felt embarrassed, even defensive. But as he reflected, he realized that Michael was right. Words are easy to speak, but they are empty unless supported by consistent action. True character is proven not by what we promise, but by how we behave when tested. From that day forward, Thomas resolved to align his actions with his words. When challenges came, he faced them directly instead of avoiding them. Slowly, people began to see not just a man who spoke of honesty, but one who lived it. This teaching remains powerful in today's society. In a world full of polished speeches, social media posts, and promises, it is easy to be swayed by words. But words without action are like shadows without substance. To build trust, respect, and true influence, one must live authentically. Actions are the true mirror of character, and only through them can we prove who we truly are. Teaching 31. Education is not only about knowledge, but about learning how to treat others. Confucius once taught that education is not only about passing down knowledge, but also about shaping character and teaching people how to behave in society. Knowledge without character is incomplete, and a person with great learning but poor manners will struggle to succeed in life. True education must guide both the mind and the heart, ensuring that wisdom is always accompanied by kindness and respect. There was once an old man named William who believed deeply in this principle. He often gathered his children and grandchildren, sharing lessons that were not just about facts or books, but about how to live as good human beings. One evening, as the family sat together, William told them a story from his youth. He recalled a time when he had witnessed a young man who was exceptionally knowledgeable, someone admired for his sharp mind and academic achievements. However, despite his brilliance, the young man behaved rudely toward his elders. He dismissed their words, ignored their presence, and even spoke with arrogance. Watching this scene, William felt a deep sadness, for he realized that knowledge without humility and respect is like a tree without roots unable to stand strong in the storms of life. Turning to his grandchildren, William said, "You may study hard and become excellent in school. You may achieve great knowledge and skills. But remember, true education is more than that. It is about how you treat others with respect, kindness, and love. Without compassion and humility, knowledge alone will never make you truly wise." His words touched their hearts. The children understood that being educated meant more than just having good grades or achievements. It meant showing patience to those who struggle, offering kindness to those in need, and honoring those who came before them. This teaching remains vital in today's society. Many focus on academic success, degrees, and technical skills, but forget the importance of respect and empathy. A world full of knowledge but lacking compassion becomes cold and divided. True education, as Confucius reminded us, is complete only when intellect walks hand in hand with kindness. To be truly successful, we must learn not only how to think, but also how to care. Teaching 32, the first step to becoming a gentleman is to live honestly. And without concealment, Confucius once taught that the very first step to becoming a true gentleman is to live with honesty, openness, and integrity. Uprightness and sincerity are the foundations upon which all other virtues rest. A gentleman does not act in secret or hide behind lies. Instead, he chooses to live transparently, guided by truth. It is through honesty that one gains the respect of others and the strength to face any challenge. There was once a merchant named Richard who had built a successful business. Outwardly, he appeared prosperous, but behind his achievements lay secrets. To secure his deals, he often concealed certain truths, creating an image of stability that did not always match reality. Though he enjoyed temporary success, deep inside he carried the weight of fear, the fear of being discovered. One day, Richard encountered serious difficulties in competing with his rivals. Unable to find a solution, he turned to his old friend Samuel for help. After listening carefully, Samuel said, "If you live with honesty and have nothing to conceal, then you will have nothing to fear. Let truth guide your path, and you will find the strength you seek." These words struck Richard deeply. He realized that his hidden dealings had trapped him in anxiety and mistrust. From that moment, he made a firm decision. He would change his way of doing business. No more secrets, no more deception. He began treating all his partners and clients with complete honesty. To his surprise, this new approach not only freed him from fear, but also brought him greater success. His partners trusted him more, his reputation grew stronger, and his business flourished beyond what he had achieved before. Richard finally understood that true strength lies not in clever tricks, but in honesty and integrity. In today's world, this teaching remains essential. Many people try to gain success through shortcuts, secrets, or half-truths, but such victories rarely last. Deception creates anxiety, while honesty builds trust. When we live truthfully, we carry no hidden burdens, and our success becomes solid and lasting. As Confucius taught, the path of the gentleman begins with one simple choice: to live with honesty, without concealment. Teaching 33, doing the right thing is not always easy, but it is always best. Confucius once taught that doing the right thing is rarely the easiest path, yet it is always the most honorable and worthwhile. At times, making the right choice demands sacrifice, courage, and the willingness to face challenges. Still, it is through these difficult decisions that true integrity is revealed. Even when pressured by emotions or relationships, a person must remain steadfast to moral principles. There was once a teacher named Daniel who worked in a small village school. He was respected for his fairness and dedication to guiding his students. One day, during an important examination, Daniel discovered that one of his students had cheated. What made the situation even more painful was that the student was the child of his closest friend. Daniel faced a difficult choice. If he ignored the cheating, he could preserve his friendship and avoid conflict. But if he acted with integrity, he risked disappointing his friend and upsetting the student. After deep thought, Daniel chose the harder path. He calmly announced the incident to the class, making sure everyone understood that dishonesty would not be tolerated. The student was ashamed and frightened, realizing the seriousness of the situation. Instead of harsh punishment, Daniel spoke gently but firmly. Doing the right thing, even when it is difficult, is better than doing the wrong thing and carrying its consequences for a lifetime. His words struck deeply. The student promised never to repeat the mistake and carried that lesson for years to come. Daniel felt no joy in confronting the student, but he knew he had chosen correctly. His decision reinforced the value of honesty and fairness, not just for one child, but for the entire class. By standing firm, he showed that principles matter more than personal comfort. This teaching holds true in today's world. Often, people are tempted to cut corners, hide the truth, or choose the easier way out. Yet, those shortcuts create greater problems in the long run. Integrity may demand sacrifice, but it builds trust, respect, and lasting character. As Confucius reminded us, the right choice is not always the easy one, but it is always the best one. Teaching 34, a person cannot live without purpose, but must have ideals to strive for. Confucius once advised that every person must have an ideal, a goal in life, in order to stay motivated and follow a clear direction. Without purpose, people easily lose themselves, wander aimlessly, and fail to develop their full potential. Goals and ideals act as guiding stars that give meaning to our actions and help us persevere, even in difficult times. There was once a young man named David who spent his days doing small tasks without any clear aim. He worked when he needed money, rested when he was tired, and let life drift by without direction. Though he was not unhappy, there was a constant emptiness in his heart. He did not know what he truly wanted, and this lack of purpose weighed on him like an invisible burden. One day, David met an old classmate named James. Unlike David, James had chosen a noble goal early in life and pursued it with determination. His days were filled with effort, and his face shone with enthusiasm. Seeing the difference, David asked, "Why do you always seem so full of energy and hope?" James smiled and replied, "If you do not have an ideal and a clear goal, your life will eventually feel empty. Find the thing you truly desire, the dream that stirs your soul, and dedicate yourself to it. Only then will your days carry meaning, and only then will your efforts bring fulfillment." These words awakened David. He realized that drifting through life without purpose was not truly living. From that moment, he began searching for his passion, reflecting deeply on what mattered most to him. Slowly, he discovered dreams he had once forgotten and started pursuing them with new determination. This teaching carries a timeless message for us today. In modern society, it is easy to get lost in routines, working endlessly without direction. Many people spend years moving through life without asking themselves what they truly want. Yet Confucius reminds us that only by setting meaningful goals can we unlock our potential and live a life of purpose. Ideals are not luxuries, they are the foundation of growth, progress, and fulfillment. And so, through these 8 timeless lessons from Confucius, we are reminded that wisdom is not locked in the past, it is alive within us today. Each story is more than a teaching. It is a compass guiding us toward kindness, discipline, and true purpose. If just one of these lessons spoke to your heart, imagine what will happen when you continue this journey with us. The wisdom of Confucius is endless, and each lesson can spark new strength in our daily lives. So, carry these teachings into your tomorrow. Let them inspire your choices, uplift your spirit, and remind you that greatness begins with simple actions. Thank you for watching and being part of this journey. If you felt inspired, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because the next video will bring you even deeper insights to light your path. Stay inspired, stay curious, and remember, as Confucius once said, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.